when I was a kid, we were provided for, but if we wanted something, we typically go earn the money and get it yourself. I live by the African proverb, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go with others. I've always stayed in my lane, and I brought in other people in other lanes so we can really maximize that opportunity. Is you're doing something unique, you see an opportunity, and you've got to package that up and share those best practices and the thought leadership. Differentiate yourself and set yourself apart. Raise your right hand, effective immediately. You're a thought leader.
Welcome to another exciting episode of the Thought Leader Revolution podcast. I'm your host, Nicky Ballou. And boy, do we have an exciting repeat guest on the show today. Today's guest is one of the founders of Constant Contact. He has been part of several exits. He's a leading thought leader when it comes to taking something from the stage of idea to execution to scale to exit. I'm speaking, of course, of none other than the one, the only, the legendary Alec Stern. Welcome to the show, Alec.
Thank you, Nicky. Appreciate that. Love your energy, man.
God bless your heart, brother. Well, man, it's good to have you back. Good to see your face, brother. So, Alec, I'm going to remind you of the people that are the audience of the show. These are entrepreneurs, man. There are people. These are the men and women who have the guts, the courage to put themselves and their dreams out there. They make our world a better place. They drive all progress forward. It's because of their belief in entrepreneurship that they help create the constituency for free enterprise, which helps expand the constituency for free expression and for freedom. And we're all about that here. And they don't come here because of me. I'm here every week. They come here because of you. They want to learn from you. Before they can really learn from you, a lot of them know you because they've been listening to this show for a while, but we got new people here too. Tell us your backstory. How'd you get to be the great Alec Stern?
You're too kind. Still working on greatness. Work on it every day. But when I was a kid, we were provided for, but if we wanted something, we typically, go earn the money and get it yourself. I always get asked, were you born with a silver spoon in your mouth? And I was. Actually, this is my spoon.
Nice.
But the only difference is my mom bought it at a flea market. And so I just got the entrepreneurial spirit early. And then, of course, my mom became an entrepreneur. She started her own business when I was in junior high and into high school. So I saw what it took, some of the grind and the good day, bad day, or good moment, bad moment. And then when I got out of college, I went to big business, had great success. And then someone way at the top, many, many layers above me, saw something in me and said, "Hey, I'm going to this startup. I want to take you with me." And I said, "Well, what does that mean?" And I had a bunch of business. So on one hand, I had $4 million worth of business that I could close. And on the other hand, I was going to go to the startup. And he said, "Well, I can't promise you if we're going to be around in 6 months or we can pay you in 6 months. But if this hits, it's going to be successful for everyone." So I hesitated, closed a little bit of the business, get a little bit more under belt. And then I called him up. I said, "I want to come over." So I joined the company. In 5 years to the day we went public. And then we went on and the company sold as well, which was my first taste into entrepreneurship and, being on the founding team, if you will. I think I was the 10th person in, but really the second person kind of on the go-to-market side, besides the guy that brought me in. And so, wow. I was there real early, saw that. I didn't really sort of understand exactly what it meant to get equity and, options. And we went public and I'm like, this piece of paper's worth what? Didn't quite grasp the concept. I'm like, but I want to do that again. So I just kept going earlier and earlier into jumping in on ideas and eventually coming up with my own. And I live by the African, proverb, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go with others. So I've never been a solopreneur, and I applaud anyone who can do that. I've always stayed in my lane, and I brought in other people in other lanes so we can really maximize that opportunity. And so really just, I've got, this is just a short stack of, I usually use, this is just a stack of ideas that I, constantly writing down ideas, usually on a cocktail napkin. I had a big stack of those at this, now I use pieces of paper for convenience. But I just I'm constantly I'm an idea guy, and either coming up with ideas or seeing other ideas of things that are out there, and just have really had success. I mean, up until recently, I was 8 companies, 5 exits, 2 IPOs, 3 acquisitions. I'm now co-founder of 6 new companies on the founding team or co-founder, and just working to just bring some ideas forward, either mine or others, and teaming up with other folks to do so.
So you were part of some pretty big exits. You want to just share those with people? You're being a little modest, man.
Yeah, well, I mean, 2 IPOs. It's exciting to get a company to a point where you have an initial public offering. The one that most people know is Constant Contact. We were a top 25 brand, and in the business categories, I think we were top 3 brand, household brand that small businesses knew. That was 3 of us in an attic when we started. We're an overnight success in 18 years. So we had year 10, we went public, and then year 18, we sold for 1.1 billion. But that's not an I story, it's a we story. 1,500 employees when we sold, 750,000 paying customers. We had, over 8,000 channel partners. We had a great board, we had a great management team. We had great employees, and it was really on the backs of everyone that we were able to achieve that success. And so that's the one everyone knows my name. Some of the others wouldn't necessarily be known because they were more under the covers tools, databases, tools, etc. But nonetheless equally successful with an IPO and an acquisition, and one other one and 2 other acquisitions. So now. Just got the bug and, retired for probably 6 months, I think, and then decide I can't do that and jump back in big time. So double down, and now, involved in 6 new companies. So.
Wow. So,
yeah.
What's interesting, man, since you and I last did this interview, I used to primarily professionally work with other coaches and consultants and thought leaders, right? That was my shtick. I met with folks who, primarily were solopreneurs or small teams, right?
Yeah.
And a little while ago, I was approached by the CEO of a small software company. And they said, hey, I hear you're like into thought leadership and you help people, establish thought leader brands. She said, can I hire you? I'm like, sure. I was like, why? And she said, I think I need to become a thought leader. I need to become the Steve Jobs or Elon Musk in my space. Instantly, I got it. I'm like, okay. I went and I did a deep dive, and I realized that as powerful as thought leadership was for coaches and consultants and established commercial thought leader types, it was even more powerful for a founder. And the reason it was more powerful for a founder is because we're living in a time where people want to be associated with companies and brands that they feel are, for lack of a better word, not full of crap, right? Authentic, real. And they want to have that organization mean something to them. If you take a look at a couple of examples, well-known examples, in 1998 there were 2 iconic American computer firms. One was called Dell, the other one was called Apple. At the time, Dell was a $12.7 billion company. Apple was a $5.9 billion company. And you would know both their CEOs because you're in the business. But 23 years later, Dell is a $102 billion a year company, great growth. Apple is a $400 billion a year company. Why? Well, there's lots of reasons, but one of the main reasons is that Steve Jobs very deliberately decided to put himself out there as the face of not just Apple, but as the face of a certain kind of vision and mission. He created thought leadership for himself as an innovator, as somebody who was the champion of innovators, visionaries, and those types of entrepreneurial people. And Michael Dell, the CEO of Dell, didn't. He decided to be a traditional CEO in the background. You know, wouldn't know a whole lot about him if you weren't in the industry. And when Steve Jobs died 12 years ago, 1 million people lined up to go to his funeral that had never met him and didn't know him. And 12 years after his death, his ethos, his spirit, his animating spirit still moves people to want to do business with Apple. And I just, you know, you struck me, you were one of the people who was a founder and then you became a thought leader. And I'm just wondering if you could help us merge those two worlds together and talk about how that can help people with a great idea, have it come alive and scale it.
I talk to startups all the time, and it's like, you know, these are my stats. 85% of the time, it's someone comes out with a business that's already in play. There's a lot of competitors, but bless you, it's an industry that could be asleep at the wheel, or they haven't really innovated in years. Or you see a product or service and you say, wow, that could be done better. And so it's about execution and delivery and coming up with something that's unique. And so the other 15% is someone who, you know, brings something forward who it doesn't exist. So you're creating a new category and a new brand. So the first example is just another brand in an existing industry, but that will execute or deliver it better or have new features and, you know, kind of wake up an industry that's just always done it a certain way. And I think one of the key things in both examples is you're doing something unique and you see an opportunity and you've got to package that up and share those best practices and the thought leadership. You've got to differentiate yourself and set yourself apart. And so you know, they're doing it because it's unique and you got to be able to share that story. And I always say to folks, raise your right hand, you know, effective immediately, you're a thought leader. Like now you got to just package up that messaging and get out there and deliver it. Right. We all are thought leaders in our own right. If we're out doing something unique, you know, bringing something to market as an entrepreneur, that's going to do something different than what's already out there. And there's a lot of industries that I've gone into with starting companies to find one of those multi-billion-dollar industries asleep at the wheel. And that you have the opportunity to come in and do something different and package it up and tell that story and show what's unique about what you're doing. And so that's what a lot of the press and the publications and the podcasts and everything, a lot of folks will gravitate to that thought leadership and the best practices. They're going to want to hear that story. They don't want to hear the momentum, like we sold another 100 customers. You know, those things, they go numb to that stuff. But if you can say what's unique about what you're doing, and of course, then you go to the associations and other organizations supporting your target market, and they want thought leadership. They want to know what's going to help my membership with that, whatever's unique that you're providing. So there's a lot of power in being able to package up that story, get out of the stealth, I put in quotes, stealth mode, you know, where you say keep close to the vest. We're not asking for the secret ingredient of what's in that dish that made it so unique, but you can share a lot of things of the preparation and other ways that you've created what you're creating and that what makes it unique without maybe giving away the secret sauce. And you've got to do that. You got to do that early and as early as possible to differentiate. And don't get into a feature function war with somebody, you know, like they have these features and we have those features. You're gonna lose every time because you're new and they've been around for a long time. And you know, but if you're doing something unique, you're going to get the ear, you know, of customers, partners, you know, all the press and others that will want to sort of follow that and understand that story. So thought leadership is very important out of the gate.
You know, I've never quite heard it be put the way you just put it. And I really like it. Why I like it is because a lot of people look at thought leadership, right? And they go, what are you talking about? I'm a founder of a company. I'm not some egghead in an ivory tower. I'm doing something real, man. And that's
and
true.
Unique.
And unique. Yeah. But
right.
That's, I think, a fundamental misunderstanding of what thought leadership is. Thought leadership is being unique, and it's looking at problems that people have, and it's coming up with solutions that are relevant to solving those problems. And to me, that's something that so many people absolutely don't get. They think, and this new thing that they're trying to pitch to founders is, oh yeah, thought leadership. That means go get a great Instagram account and a great TikTok account and a great LinkedIn account and become the equivalent of one of these influencers that's showing off their abs, you know, and telling you to eat better. I mean, no offense, that's like motherhood and apple pie. If you're going to have thought leadership and you're going to go and be public about it, there's got to be some depth to what you share. And it can't be something that's banal or a cliche. It's got to be something that's real and new. And as you put it, unique, right?
Right. And especially for the customer, like the customer, this, you know, a lot of these industries, you know, it's like, this is the way we've always done it. We're going to continue doing it this way. And now you're going to come along, you're going to be doing something different. You know, you're now going to that target market and those customers and saying, look, you know, there's a better way and you can get more out of it. And here's the benefits of doing it this way. And you've moved off of the playing field of all those competitors into your own field. And now you're showing them this unique way for how they can succeed in using your product or service. You know, and that has a lot of power out of the gate.
So there's a few industries that I find fascinating and interesting. And I'd love to kind of bat this around with you. One is the whole world of coaching and consulting has exploded in the last 15 years, right? I mean, Tony Robbins was kind of the one who popularized professional coaching for entrepreneurs and business people. And right now we're talking, the rate of growth in the industry is around 40% a year. And yet there's not a whole lot that's new and unique about coaching lately. And I'm just wanting to bat this around with you. If someone were wanting to get into that industry and want to disrupt it a little bit, what are some of the things they ought to look at?
Yeah, so the first thing I'd want to just touch on is that, you know, up to 3 years ago, you know, everyone got vetted, you know, to go on those stages. You know, the top, you know, I spoke at the top 5 events, must attend events in the country, you know, by Inc. and Entrepreneur and whatever. You know, you get vetted, you go on those stages, and you know, and it was a sort of a validation that that this person is real and they've accomplished some things and they've got a message to deliver, and you know, you start getting out there, and then you get asked to do those other conferences and so on. And then of course, you know, COVID and other things hit and we moved virtual. You know, we took away any requirement. So everyone can be a thought leader. You know, everyone can go out and deliver you know, I'm a coach, you know, and then start delivering content and so forth. And, you know, and I think I've always just say to people when they say, hey, you know, they'll tell me, you know, I met this coach online and, you know, I think I want to hire him. And I always just tell everyone, just vet them and vet what they're saying and go check references and see do people truly get value from what they're saying. And is there more, you know, more behind the curtain? You know, it's easy to get up there and say the right things and hook someone in and sign an agreement for them to work with you. But then in reality, are they truly, you know, that, you know, get you into a mastermind and, you know, vet the people that are in there. Are you going to be the smartest one in the room, or, you know, are there going to be others that you're going to be able to learn from? And then of course, then that the person who's running that. And so I would just say, you know, it's just really important to vet whoever you're going to select. There's amazing coaches out there that are very successful and like yourself that, you know, people get a lot out of and they're advancing in whatever it is that they're needing help with. And so, yeah, it's the industry is growing wildly, but I mean, you know, there are a lot of folks just didn't have to go through the sort of that process that we all had to go through up until 3 years ago to get up on all those stages and podcasts and masterminds and others where we're asked to speak. And then, you know, of course, then what, you know, what have they personally done, you know, to validate some of their, you know, ability to get up there and tout some of that messaging. A lot of, you know, it's like anything else, you know, a lot of the, you know, you can go back in time and, you know, everything starts, you know, everyone says it starts with Napoleon Hill and Think and Grow Rich and some of that, and it spawned into other people coaching and then other people coaching from their coaching. And so there's a lot of this is, you know, the origin of a lot of this starts somewhere. And a lot of people have put their own spin on it and add some other value to it, which is great. That's the personal touch, or that, that unique in this service of this offering. There's something unique they're providing on top of maybe something else that was a foundation that they had learned from someone else. And, that's fine. Everyone has their sort of their spin to, what they can offer. So, I think first and foremost, for me, it's really the vetting and making sure that there's, there's true validity in what they're saying and backing that up with what they've done.
Well, that's very powerful and very true. And I don't even like using the word coach to describe what I do. I mean, if someone asks me what I do, what I tell them is I help entrepreneurs make their dreams come true. And the way that I do it is through my books, my podcasts, my coaching programs, my workshops, and my mastermind. That's what I tell them. And if they say, what is that, like coaching? I go, kind of. But I don't like the term coach because everybody and his brother's a coach these days, right? Yeah. So I totally agree with you when you say that. And I see that the industry of providing the service of coaching to folks is growing. And I'm thinking to myself, well, if I want to disrupt the industry, what would I need to do in order to be able to take coaching from a mostly one-on-one or one-to-many, basically a solopreneur type individual, to a more scalable business experience? And that's what I was thinking. Maybe you and I could try to bat around what are some of the things that could be done inside of this space that would make it more valuable to the end user.
Well, but in terms of someone taking what they're doing and scaling it?
Yeah, in terms of let's say you and I decided to say, okay, Alec, Nikki and Alec, you know what? We're gonna take on the coaching industry. We're gonna disrupt this, and we're gonna make the first $1 billion coaching company. That's what we're all about right now. We're gonna make the first $1 billion coaching company, but we want to disrupt this. We want to add value in a way that's gonna make all the other coaches go, oh my God, what are these guys doing? This is crazy. So how would we need to think that through?
Yeah, and so scaling anything, there's a lot of common ground for whether it's a product, a service, whether it's a nonprofit, whether it's for profit, like B2B, B2C, et cetera. There's a lot of there's some commonality, and it's fairly repeatable. I think one of the things when I'll ask entrepreneurs, several conversations today, great idea, looks like you've thought it through. They always ask me, what do you think of my idea? It doesn't matter what I think, what's your target market think? Give me the feedback from the exact person that you're offering this to. So my opinion doesn't matter if I'm not your target market. So tell me about what they say, right? So that's one of the first things in just validating kind of the idea and understanding that you're onto something, because you're going to get a lot of no's, and people are going to say, there's no way you guys can build this $1 billion business. You two, how is that possible? Well, talking to the people that, we're serving, and they're saying this is amazing. And I 10x'd my business from being in and amongst, us plus the team behind us and the group in the masterminds. And, we learn just as much from each other as we do them learning from us. They're going to learn just as much from their peers. And so there's a lot to be said for sort of the company you keep there and what you can learn there. I think the other thing in terms of scale that most people, when I ask them, what's your scale strategy? The answer is not, we're not going to answer that. Well, to get to $1 billion, we're going to need, 5,000 people to go through our program, or whatever, 10,000 people to go through our program at X dollars. That's one approach. Of course, that's the means to the end. But the key thing is, how are you going to get to those 10,000 people? And no one can answer that. And the bottom line answer, this is the secret sauce in all of this, is channels and partnerships, and whether you're a complement to someone else and referrals, and or what you have is so valuable, it's put into the tool bag for someone else who's going out and selling someone. And when they make a sale to land a client, you're part of it, because you're going to offer what you're offering. And I think most people lose sight of the fact that channels, partnerships, strategic alliances, all of that combined is the scale strategy for most businesses. And so, it's a full 2-day topic minimum to kind of drill in on all of that. But the bottom line is you can say, okay, I challenge everyone on the call that there's 15 categories minimum of channel partners that you could get on a whiteboard, start writing down where's our target market hanging out? Who could we be partnering with to work to get to, to help with the scale strategy? Get us to the target market. Who are trusted resources that they rely on that could be referring us? There's a lot of ways to solve it. What's the reach and the influence of these other partners that can get folks in the door? Someone might not have great reach, but they have huge influence. If they say that you should use the Nikki and Alec program, and they say that, it holds a ton of weight because they trust them, and they'll say sure, or they'll say we'll just sign you up for it, and it's going to cost you X. Like there all of those sort of people fall into categories. The one category everyone on this call shares, no matter what your business is association and member orgs, right? So there's local, regional, national, international. They're either thought leadership and education based, or they're networking and like minds together to raise the water level collectively, or it's a combination of both. But you could think of, in your space, where's your target market hanging out to get learnings or to network with, others like them, which is your target market. And if you have thought leadership and best practices, those associations will eat up your content, like get you on the podcast, put you in the newsletter, get you on the website, get you speaking on stage. If I had $1 for every time I heard, we don't allow vendors to speak. Unless you're a sponsor, we'll give you 2 minutes on stage at lunch. I've spoken at, countless huge associations, their conferences as a keynote, and I'm a vendor. But it's like, I was never looked at as someone who's a vendor. I was someone bringing thought leadership and best practices to their audience. They can learn from what we're doing. We can help their audience grow and succeed. And those associations eat that up, just like the press eats it up, and all the other, categories, that wants to expose, to your target market, that thought leadership and best practices. So that ties in nicely to this conversation. But one category, association and member orgs. Under that are multiple answers. There's multiple organizations, different types, so you could have subcategories under that one Uber category, which is one that everyone on this call shares.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Alec, I think I'd like to have an offline conversation with you. I think I'd like to do a series of interviews with you to go into this subject of strategic alliances, partnerships, and break it down and really just categorize it. And I know you're doing 6 companies and all, but you should put together a 2-day on this, man. And I'd be happy to.
I've got it.
I'd be happy to help you get the word out. I'd be happy to be a part of it in any way that I can. But this is people in the coaching industry. Here's the thing that most people, and it's not just coaching, any type of solopreneur type related industry, they are not sophisticated business people. They are sophisticated at delivering what they are good at. They're delivering good coaches, good mortgage brokers, good, whatever, right? They're not good. They're not business people who've learned, oh yeah, this is the kind of thing you ought to do. And what you said today, there's a lesson that I teach in one of my thought leader programs about the 10 channels for generating new leads and revenue. And one of them is referrals. One of them is strategic partnerships. And yet what you just said right now is so true. Every organization that I've been a part of that scaled found strategic partners, found referral partners. I used to work for an IT security firm called Jaws Technology back in 2000, 2001. I was the director of telco partnerships. And my job was to go to telecom companies that were already going into all these big companies that our company wanted to sell to, and then be a value added vendor to say, hey guys, yeah, you got your telco and internet needs from these guys, but security is now a big deal. You guys want to handle that too, so you don't fall into liability situation or have your business be destroyed by crazy black hat type hackers, excuse me. And we were starting to get some real traction before the dot-com bubble burst and the company ran out of money and all that jazz. But I'll tell you something, this is gold, man. This is gold.
And so if somebody got on a whiteboard, referral partners is one, co-marketing, co-branding partners is another. Like there's those categories, but more specifically, where they're hanging out, many folks in your target market go to associations and member orgs to learn, or they'll go there to get to like-minded folks, same as them, same title, same everything. Same business, same focus, and so you get a room full of folks to to be able to access, and so if you go and get on the whiteboard and you start naming other categories, what are some of complementary services, as you referred, what are some complementary services someone's providing? In your case, it was the telcos were providing all that, and you were bringing a complement in of security. It's another thing that's in the tool bag that they could be selling, or you come in as an afterthought to add security in to make, to just really round out the offering. And, so complementary products and services, is another category. And you sit there and say, well, who are all the key players? And, if you name the top 20 players in an industry, the 80-20 rule, they're going to make the majority of the business up, and if you go and land the first one or two at the top, the rest fall behind and you're Switzerland and you've signed every partner in the category, and so there's a lot to be said. When I mentioned, with Constant Contact, when, we sold the company, we had over 8,000 partners. That's a very conservative number. No one would believe that number, let alone a bigger number. So, and oftentimes we counted a lot of partners in a category as just one, because no one's going to believe that the staggering numbers of working with 5,000 plus chambers in the chambers of commerce is one subcategory, right? So when you think about the channels is the answer for scale, and then the question is testing your way into which channel categories, and then don't cry wolf. You sign a partner and think, the ones you think you're going to do a lot, do nothing. And the ones you think will do nothing will do a lot. You just don't know. And it really comes down to just treating them all equally and working through that. And, but that is the scale answer. And it has been for me and every company that we've launched, that we had growth success with, has been channels. And just for the record, Constant Contact, when we started, we're 100% channels. We couldn't go door to door selling to small businesses on Main Street around the world. It wasn't scalable, and the answer is not hire 100 salespeople, for a free trial, and first pay level was $15 a month. You can't be having a ton of salespeople running around trying to do that. So we had to get to our target market through those channel partners. Yep.
Very interesting. In the world of coaching, people right now sell a number of things. One of the things they sell is paid traffic, right? Cold traffic, right? Get ads, get people into a funnel. Another thing they sell is they say, hey, use a book. A book's been successful for me. I've used the book to get potential clients into my funnel. Like I've got a very short book. This is it. This is the second edition of Finish Line Thinking. I put this in the hands of 5,000 people. It's generated over 7 figures in coaching business for me. It's been very successful. I think about this. I could put this in the hands of a bunch of channels and say, hey man, give this to some of your clients as a freebie, like this is a book that'll really help them. So that could be a cool thing. Another thing that people look at is podcasting. Podcasting's been good for me. It's a great way to build relationships with guests, and it's a great way for folks like me to build an audience that might be interested in what we're doing. So being a guest on other people's show, like you're being a guest on my show, that's powerful in terms of helping to open things up as well. But you do all of that and you tie it into some good channels. Like I'm thinking right now, my brain's going, I say, okay, we're going to be doing all the things that we're doing, but what can we do to actually build an OBS real channel partnership strategy that we can have 100, 1,000 folks that'll be interested in bringing people to our door because there's something in it for them, and it's going to add value to the people that they're interested in as well. So,
right, but that's the key. That last statement is the key statement. The value add, right? Like just signing partnerships for the sake of signing partnerships doesn't do anything for anyone. But if there's true value add, or there's something that you're doing and complementing what they're doing, or it's another thing in their tool bag they can offer to their target market, which is yours. It's very powerful.
Yeah, it could increase their stickiness with their clients, right? Because this could be something they could be interested in. But obviously, if they bring a client our way and we're signing a $5,000 or $10,000 deal and we give them 10%, I'm sure they're happy with that too, right? That's nice to get that kind of money in their pocket.
Yeah. And so when you think about they're working with someone and they have their core offering, and so they'll always go back to their core. Like if we got to sell more of the core, or numbers are down this quarter, we got to sell more core, or we got to go get more people to buy our core. Like they're always going to be thinking of that first. But at some point, the consultative salesperson that's in that company, you go to the top of any organization's business development and sales team, they're very consultative. And they're going to go and be on the same side of the table, sitting with the client, working with them, as opposed to cross selling. They're going to work with them to make sure that they're providing solutions and that the offering that's going to really help that client excel. And so they're a trusted resource to them for that. And then in turn can be recommending other things. Have got another thing that I think would be really interesting for you, to jump in and take advantage of. And so they'll do that, but they have to believe in it. And they have to see the value in it, and then of course they'll get rewarded for doing so. And so once you get the rainmakers in the partners sales team, use it, promoting it, having success selling it, the rest follow. So it's like who are the top guns that we can talk to see what's the best way to get this mix into the mix, and how do we talk about it? What do we say? What do we offer? What's in it for them? What's the win-win-win for you, the partner, that salesperson, and the customer? And just figure all that out, and it's gold.
This is brilliant. This is absolutely brilliant, and obviously it works for companies that are looking to scale. Only use channel partnerships if you don't mind scaling. If you don't want to scale, don't use them. Right.
Right.
That's it.
Yeah, and it's a lot of work. And I think one of the key things people think, sign an agreement, or hey, we just signed a partnership. You put the agreement in the drawer and just wait for stuff to happen. The job, the work begins when you sign that agreement, to really manage that partner and manage that success, and make sure they have all the tools and resources they need to be successful at selling it and promoting it, and then supporting it to a certain level, because they'll get calls on it and then pass those back over to you. And so there's a lot of things that need to be thought through to make sure that it's done properly. But most people don't manage the channel. They just assume we'll sign the agreement and kind of walk away and let's see what happens. And then when nothing happens, you sort of like do a check-in, and nothing's happening. It's like, well, either it's probably your fault for not arming them with the right tools and resources, and staying in touch and doing a ride along with a couple of the top salespeople to learn, have them pitch it and hear what the client's saying. What's the true relationship that partner has with the client? Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not. So would they actually even listen to the client, listen to the partner offering something else, when they may not have the best success, with some of the stuff that they're using from them? Like, there are a lot of the dynamics that you have to sort of get in and understand to make sure you make it successful.
Amen, brother. Amen. This is fantastic. I've really enjoyed this. Let's definitely come back and do a couple more episodes in the future, breaking down this whole channel partnership thing. And let's look at different categories, different ways to do this, because I think, as you said, this is a topic that is worth exploring more deeply. So, Alec, if folks are interested in finding out more about you, your work, the companies you're a part of, what's the best way?
Yeah, so my website is Alec, ALEC Speaks, SPEAKS.com, AlecSpeaks.com. That's probably the best place to just go see, kind of a quick flyover and a little bit more on me. It's like the cobbler's kids don't have shoes, so it needs a little work, which I'm working on, and bringing it up to date a bit. But that's the best place to go see, and then they can also engage and connect with me through there as well. All my social channel links are there. It's easy to start there and find other things.
Well, I tell you, I really enjoyed the conversation. I'm going to speak with you offline and connect you with a couple other podcasters that I think you would enjoy speaking to. And this is a conversation I found fascinating. I'd really like to explore it with you.
Yeah, we can talk for sure. I mean, this is something I spend a lot of time consulting on and working with clients to figure out their scale strategy. So,
amen, brother. Amen. So, Alec, we end off each episode by asking you as our guest expert for what we call your top 3 expert action steps. These are like bullet points of your 3 best pieces of advice. So what say you?
Well, so since we're talking entrepreneurs and starting businesses, one I alluded to earlier is go out and seek what your target market, thinks or feels about what you're offering. Don't go to family and friends. They're going to tell you they love you. Don't go to people you've done business with. They're going to tell you they love you. Go to complete strangers for brutal, honest feedback. So get out to the target market. Talk to those folks that you don't know. And the other key thing is you want to be focused in on engaging with them to talk, and you listen. So you want to listen intently as they're talking. Ask them some key questions. What's your vision for the business in 3 years? And are you doing something today that's going to get you there in 3 years? And oftentimes they're not. So you either have to change what you're doing or change your vision. And then when you're listening, ask questions. If they can answer 2 key questions, do you see value? First of all, you're listening. And if you take the word listen and you move the letters around, it spells silent. So you want to be silent, intently listening to what they're saying and hear the cues. So when it's your turn to talk, you can zone in on the things that they brought up of what their hot buttons are and what they're interested in, what they wish they had more of, what they don't have that they wish they had. All of the things when you're asking them questions to just tell you more, and you're listening, then you can then spin back something of value, and they have to be able to answer 2 questions. One is, do you see value in this and something you see yourself using? Of course, this is amazing. And 2, was it something you'd be willing to pay for? And their answer should be, if this is priceless, of course I would. So if you've listened properly and then you responded accordingly, and not just spray and pray and talk and tell them whatever you want to tell them and hope they heard something they were interested in, you're going to be more targeted with your messaging.
Yeah.
So that's 3.5. 3.5.
I love it. So I'm taking notes, man. I think this is gold. Alec, thanks for coming back on the show, man. It was great to have you here. Let's have you back on again and dive into this more deeply. Listener, Alec Stern, the real deal. This man has done it. He's done IPOs. He's been part of major exits, and he's doing 6 more companies right now. And he's a thought leader who's going out and teaching his wisdom out to the world because he cares about seeing what he's learned go to the next generation of people and help extend the free enterprise system and help more people be successful. So take advantage of this. Go to alecsspeaks.com. And if you like this, give us a like, give us a rating, give us a review, and make sure that you share this with, a fellow entrepreneur who could benefit from this message. That's the best thing you could do, to help us. And as I say, I provide this show for free. There's no advertisers. There's no sponsors. The only payment I ask is that if you got value, share it with someone else. That's all the payment I want. That's all the payment I've ever asked for. And that's that. Alec Stern, an honor to have you here with me, my friend.
Honor to be here, Nick. Thank you.
You bet. Bolu out. And that wraps up another exciting episode of the podcast, The Thought Leader Revolution. To find out more about the legendary Alec Stern, go to alecsspeaks.com or to the show notes at thethoughtleaderrevolution.com or wherever you happen to listen to this episode, be it iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, Google Play, Audible, or what have you. Until next time, goodbye.